Has received the agenda. We'll call the meeting to order. Okay.
Okay.
Second on the list is Measure E TUT Oversight Committee. So anything specifically that the committee would like to share with us before Bill or Fabi go into, kind of giving you an update on the projects?
I have a question.
I'll have a couple. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jackie.
Question. It's not about this. It's about the new law they just passed, which is kind of similar to this one. The new tax. No one knows what I'm talking about.
Measure R.
Are you talking about Measure R?
Yes, Measure R. Is Measure R going to run concurrently with Measure E? Or are they replacing each other or what?
No, Measure R is running concurrently with Measure E. It expires in 9 years. So they're essentially almost expiring at the same time.
Okay.
Measure R is all general funds. So there isn't any portion of it that's allocated to a specific project necessarily. But they are both sales tax increases. So
Thank you.
and
Larry, are you going to say something?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to raise questions about some of the expenditures for 54 and 55. I assume that we're in the architectural design phase.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Actually, we have designs for both projects. We are attempting to get a grant from FEMA. They have a grant application program that allows you to preemptively reconstruct in order to avoid a disaster in the future. And we're in the process of developing that grant application now. If we get that, it'll supplement the budgets for 54 and 55 and the other projects we had on the Measure E program, including City Hall and I think there was a small portion of 53, another fire station also.
Yeah.
That was part of that. So we have that application underway now. It's actually due to the state on the end of this week, and it'll go to FEMA in January. So we want to find out the status of whether we're being considered for that before we go out to bid for the projects. If we're not in consideration, obviously we can go forward with the projects now. If we are in consideration, we can potentially go out to bid on 55 or wait for more definitive work on the grant application. But the projects are both designed and we're in a position of just waiting for this grant application to move forward or not in order to go out to bid for the projects.
Okay, and 53, at one point, I think that the plan was that 53 would be essentially turned over to the county. Is that still the case?
Sold to the county.
Yeah, sold to the county, yes.
And that is underway, yeah. Fabi's been working with the county representative to get to a place where we can actually turn the building over to them, but that is in process, so to speak.
Okay, yeah, that's good because that would be a pretty reasonable headquarters for the crews working for the new JPA, as it has been in the past for the TAM crew. So anyway, okay.
Which crew is going to man the station?
Which crew is going to man 53?
Yeah.
Nobody so far.
Yeah, 53 is excess now that we've constructed 57.
Oh,
And
okay.
so the county and the city had an agreement to give them the option to purchase the building. And they've indicated interest in that. We're pursuing it. They just asked for an extension of the option, which we granted to them for 6 months. So every indication is that they want to purchase the building. They're just going through their due diligence now, and they will eventually buy the building from us.
Hi, Gladys.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get on. It wanted a number and a name and it wouldn't take me.
Oh,
Well, we've got you now.
Yeah, you got me now, but it took me what? It took me 10 minutes to get on, and I'm use Zoom all the time, so.
All
Why
I want to
did
know
we
is,
not?
all I want to know is, have you seen Mary Lou recently? Because I haven't heard from her.
No, we live in the same place and we never see anybody because we're isolating.
She disappeared off the map.
It is, we all have somebody, and we all walk around with masks on, so people aren't always sure who somebody is.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
I did not get this information till 1:15 today. The financial statement.
that's when we all got it. That's when I got it.
Isn't that a little bit late? Is anybody
Well,
there?
probably is. I think I got it before that. Unfortunately, I have a laptop here in Mexico and no way to print that stuff out for careful review. So I'm reviewing it on the phone while I'm connected to the Zoom call. So
Yeah,
Okay, but
Gladys, thank you. We should have definitely sent it out earlier, but we're gathering information last minute. However, we do want to go over that information with you for most of this meeting. So hopefully we will go slow enough to allow for your review. And certainly we're available if you have any questions during or after, of course.
may I ask then in the future that we get this at least a day ahead? And if not, the meeting be postponed.
Absolutely. Vaughn, did you used to send it out in the past?
Pardon?
I was asking Vaughn if it was something that was sent out in the past.
Yes, it was.
Yes, I usually try to send it out a few days ahead of time, but I think it's between the late approval of, of the council and then the furlough and the change of the meeting. I just lost track of time, and that's on me.
Okay, well, just next time, let's at least postpone the meeting so we can go over it. I mean, I was out until 1:20. So I didn't even open my email till about 1:30.
Definitely. Our apologies. So I'll turn it over to Bill and Fabi and kind of ask them to give you an update on the projects, and then we'll go over the financials.
great.
Are you expecting the status of the 3 fire stations, the Public Safety Center and 52 and 57? All the projects are obviously completed and occupied. We had a virtual dedication via the video that we put together at the council meeting, at the last meeting. We're doing some minor cleanup stuff with the police department at the Public Safety Center, but they have decamped from City Hall, and we're reoccupying the basement level of City Hall with other city uses, but the Public Safety Center is fully operational.
I'd
Yeah,
love
A beautiful building, I will add. I've been through it, and it's just a terrific building.
It looks great from the outside, considering all the effort we put into it, Larry. Years and
Well, I
years.
tell you, the firefighters are thrilled with all 3 new buildings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the police department is really liking the new Public Safety Center. Also, the move from the basement of City Hall to that building is quite an improvement. As well.
They also get out of those temporary buildings they were in the parking lot.
The buildings are still there because we hope to use them as temporary quarters for the firefighters at 55. But those buildings are now vacant. They've been, I think, Fabi, used by some of the strike teams that have come in support of Measure G, but they're generally available to be relocated at any time.
Yeah, the AmeriCorps teams have been staying in there.
Yeah, and actually, the city of Novato has expressed an interest in the tent structure that's there as well. We're still waiting for them to sort out their money situation, but they intend to purchase the sprung structure, which is, you know, the temporary apparatus bin.
They gonna use it for the homeless?
No, I think they're doing construction projects for fire stations also. And I think they have use for it.
And so for everyone, I'm sorry, Bill, if you already mentioned the date, but it was November 16th council meeting that the video was aired. And so if you want to check it out, you can definitely jump on there at any time and watch the video. It was about 12 minutes and it was beautiful. So.
Great, thank you for giving me the date.
Had to hack down all Larry's comments, but good.
Good.
You're both in there prominently featured. Jackie and Larry both did a great job.
Yeah.
I love Montecito, and so does the public watching the guys exercise.
And then Bill did give an update on 54 and 55, but Gladys, you were just joining. So Bill, if you don't mind just recapping for a minute, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, I'll just say it again. The two fire stations are designed. We actually had to modify 54 to elevate the residential structure to meet FEMA code requirements. And that's been accomplished. Just Gladys, for your benefit, we're in the throes of applying for a grant from FEMA for it's a local hazard mitigation planning effort, but they actually will forward fund projects that will support disasters in the future. And it's possible that they will fund 75% of Fire Station 54 if the grant is successful. So we're very interested, obviously, in seeing if that'll happen. We can't start construction until the grant does or doesn't go forward. That's just one of the rules, is you can't be in construction and applying for grants. So we're holding off on bidding those two projects until we have a better understanding of whether we're in or out of the grant application from FEMA. But the projects are otherwise ready to bid, and we can go out as soon as we get some indication of which way that project's going to go with the FEMA grant.
That would be great.
Yeah, it would be huge because we'd have additional funds for the other projects that are still on the list.
Okay, enough about that. On to the fun part. Finances.
Yeah, let's do the numbers, as they say.
Are there any other questions for Bill and Fabi?
Nope.
Okay, great. Thank you. Jackie?
No, I was just going to say that the Department of Public Works did a fabulous job managing this whole process and keeping it at budget and timely, and it was great.
Thank you.
Thank
Abby
you.
did a wonderful job.
Thank you. Bill did. Thanks.
Great, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everybody.
Can't wait.
I know, it's really exciting stuff. So I'll go ahead and pull up the agenda. So we're going to go through the June 30th, 2020 financial results, and then we'll also look at the CAFR, which is one of the things we do to ensure that we're showing you the right numbers.
Alexa, stop.
All right. So fiscal year 2020 was a great year for the essential facilities projects. As Bill mentioned, we completed our largest one on time, on budget, and it's absolutely beautiful. If we look at some of the revenues, we had about 600K of interest income that came in for this year. This is the proceeds from the bond that we had invested. They are no longer invested since we've used all of them, and we won't be seeing these types of interest incomes in future years. The second revenue line item is the small reimbursement that was still remaining from Station 57. So as you know, they paid for a portion of it, And so this was the last amount prior to completion. And we certainly won't be seeing that anymore. And then the PG&E settlements and reimbursement for overpayment were things that we received throughout the year for settlements that were incurred at the Public Safety Center, and then reimbursements where things had been overpaid, and so we just received that money back. So very small amounts. But that was $789,000 of revenues compared to total expenditures of 25.8 million. Total expenditures for Station 51 were, which is essentially the public safety facility, were 21.2 million. We expected a little bit more to come in through fiscal year 21. So in July, August, September of this fiscal year 2021 year. So you might see that trickle in next year, but for the most part, this is almost all of it. Trickling in from Station 52 was about 79,000. Station 57, 1.8, and then the stations 54 and 55 review, architectural review. So that's 470 and the very start of the project, and we'll continue to see that coming in. And then of course we have our bond interest payments of 2.2 million, which now that we are no longer in construction, we will be seeing bond interest payments of double that amount and slightly more as we are now paying down the interest along with the principal. And so in future years, what you'll see the transfer from the Measure E taxes, that will be for the debt servicing. And of course, although there's an operating deficit of 25 million, we all know that the revenues were received in 2017-18 year when we received the bond proceeds. So as we kind of go over what we had sitting in the bank versus what we received, well, we received $949,000 of emergency service funds. So we've talked about this in the past, but just a reminder, at a finance committee meeting about 2 years ago, the finance committee said, you know, we have this paramedic fund. So it's a parcel tax, it's restricted for paramedic fund, for paramedic activities only. But the paramedic fund had a fairly healthy balance in it, fund balance, so savings. And they said, we are working on all of these projects and we could potentially be moving a percentage of that money that's related to only the paramedic piece. And so that $949,000 last year, it was about $1 million. The year before it was more than that. That 949 is a transfer from that fund to help us cover the projects related to the percentage of paramedic activity that we have. So it certainly helps. Then we had Measure E allocations of 4.174 million, and we'll go into the detail of how that number is made. And then prior year proceeds of 32.4 million almost. And the prior year proceeds is everything that we had carried from the prior year ending balance into here. So we had to work with 37.5 million. Our uses, so to cover our total expenditures of 25.82 million, we used 25 million of prior year money, and then we used $131,000, which is the county reimbursement for Station 52. And that leaves us with a fund balance as of June 30th, 2020 of 12.475 million. That number, certainly there are still associated costs to the essential facilities, to the PSC, but that number will be, those savings or that money, that fund balance will be used for stations 54, 55, and other essential facilities projects. And so I'll pause there before going into the CAFR detail, the audited annual financial statement detail, and tying some of these numbers back. So I'll pause there and ask if there are any questions.
Not a question, but I want to commend you on tapping the paramedic funds for this, because the reality of it is that the majority of the calls for service that come through the fire department are in fact medical. And space within each of the fire stations is devoted to the paramedic teams exclusively. So our firefighter paramedics are, the terminology even is backwards, because the reality of it is they spend an awful lot more of their time in pre-hospital care and emergency medical services than they do fighting fires. So I think that was a good thing to do, and absolutely support it.
Thank you, Larry. I absolutely agree with you, which is recommended to the Finance Committee. And I'm glad that they agreed and approved it as well. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is where it becomes a little bit difficult, because normally we have, we can flip to these. So memorize all of these numbers, and then we'll go ahead and flip through the CAFR. But again, the CAFR is our annual audited financials. They are reviewed by a third party, which is an auditing firm. They gave us an unqualified opinion this year. Basically means that we did well. There was nothing of, nothing at a material level that they wanted to communicate. So their numbers match ours, which is always a good thing. And let me go ahead and walk you through it. So Measure E, this is the income statement for the whole city. But when we look at the Measure E amount,
What page? What page?
it should be the second page in your packet.
Okay, good. All right.
Do you see it?
Yep.
Okay, great. So Measure E, half cent, and then quarter cent. We like to break it down so that you can see exactly what's going where. And so page 3, the half cent that stays in the general fund for general operations is 0.12 million. And the quarter cent that gets transferred into the Measure E fund is 4 million. Now, you'll notice that this 4.060 is different than what I had reported up top here, which was 4.174.
Yeah.
Right here. And the reason for that is last year we had told you that we didn't transfer enough, or in the financials, it didn't show the final audited financials last year. It was under by $100-something thousand, 170. And so that's what it is. So we basically transferred in this year slightly more than the amount we needed to transfer in for the year, because we were making up for the amount that hadn't been transferred in last year.
So this is in effect something similar to comparison between cash basis and accumulative. Okay.
Yeah, you're right, Larry. I mean, if we really just summarize it, it's a timing difference. And so audited financial statements have something that's slightly less, but we're saying, no, we needed to contribute 100 more to the Measure E fund due to not contributing enough last year due to a timing difference.
Yeah.
Okay. So then this page is the balance sheet for all of our special revenue funds, or a portion of them. And you'll see the essential facilities projects here. And the balance sheet is showing total fund balance of 12.474 million. So again, if we were to compare that to the first page, which was our summary page, this 12.4 million, 12.474 ties, and that's the savings. That's what's sitting in our savings account, ready to be used for next year. So that's this.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got 12.4 million that we're able to tap into this year for the projects that we talked about, 54, 55, things like that. And then here you'll see the income statement for the Essential Facilities Project, which is very similar. The numbers are the same as what we had showed you on the first page, but this is the one that is created by the auditors. It's in their format. But essentially, we're showing our income, 789,000, which is what we had listed above. But one of the things I want to make sure you see is these total expenditures of 23.594, and this has been the same every year, so it's nothing new, but I just like to highlight it, excludes the additional debt expense of 2.235 million. So all it is how they show it, its presentation. But that's why I prefer looking at this one, which just makes it so much easier because that 2.2 million is included in the expenditures. If you were to remove that, you would get the same number that they have here, which is the 23.593. And vice versa, if you were to add 23.59 to the 2.2, you get the total expenditures. And again, most importantly, you can tell that all of this ties because our fund balance at the end of the year is the 12.474 million. So just different ways of presenting it. And then here, it should be page 6 out of 8 of your package. Essentially what we're saying is this is the list of transfers that we made in and out of the general fund, and included in that is 4.174 million. So we moved 4.174 million of general fund money, which is the Measure E taxes from the general fund to the Essential Facilities Capital Project Fund. And then we also moved 2.235 million of Essential Facilities money to the general fund, which pays the debt service. So it's really just accounting in nature, but I wanted to be able to show you where that's coming from and why. The general fund pays for the debt servicing, and so that's why it was transferred to the general fund for payment. And then lastly, the $949,000 that came from the emergency medical fund, the paramedic fund is what we call it, went to the Essential Facilities Fund. And that's that right here.
Okay, Nadine, now, is it correct that that the bond funds are completely transferred? Nothing left in the bond account?
Nothing left in the bond account. You're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
I have a question. Since the pandemic started, obviously the big stores are having way less revenue to pay taxes. But then I read in the newspaper that used and new cars are flying off the lots because people are buying cars. And my question is, since March, the total Measure E taxes, have they remained steady, gone up, gone down, or what?
Yeah, thank you, Jackie. That's a great question. In fact, it's almost as if we talked before this and I prompted you to ask because that was going to be one of the items that I wanted to talk to you all about. So we could just jump into it right now. Great question. We had initially estimated sales tax to decrease substantially. And when I say we, I mean the city of San Rafael with prior year trends and history, but also working with our third-party consultants who do this for a living. They just review sales tax and use tax and transaction tax. And we had a substantial decrease in our forecast. We did better than we had expected for two reasons. One, we had started out the year really well. So we were already ahead, come February of 2020, we were already ahead of what we had estimated for budget purposes. And so that helped us and therefore lessened the decrease when COVID hit. We have certainly seen reductions in sales tax in COVID, but the other reason that I consider us luckier than other cities is because our top industries, you know, there are other cities like the city of Santa Cruz that you could say maybe their number one sales tax generator is restaurants because they have so many tourists that come in and out of there, and that's what gets them most of their revenues, their sales tax revenues. That is not it for us. Certainly having restaurants be closed for such a long period of time and then only able to provide takeout and then outside seating after that has hindered our sales tax numbers. But our number one and two industry types are auto sales. So exactly what you were saying, which they're flying off the shelf. And so that has helped us. And then construction. And if you recall, construction for a very short period of time was stopped. I mean, I'm talking like a few days here because the definition had been kind of off and it picked right back up again. So construction activity really hasn't stopped, and therefore our sales tax numbers don't show such a decrease. Now, what is problematic and we continue to worry about and watch and forecast is that the shelter in place has gone on much longer than we had originally anticipated. We knew that there might be a second wave, but we had, we thought that we would have a few months of regular operational business. And that has not been the case, certainly. So that's frightening because, you continue to experience sales tax losses, but more so the fear for me as I watch this is that many of our businesses or a portion of our businesses will shut down. So it's a long-term effect of no sales tax income. And that's something that we're constantly looking at and reviewing, working with third parties on and talking to other cities about. But what that means for us here in regards to the Essential Facilities Fund is, as you guys know, starting now, we wanted to use the proceeds, so the quarter cent proceeds, to pay for our debt service. That had been the intent, that's how it was forecasted. Well, if those proceeds come back lower than the debt servicing amount, then we've got to find other ways to pay for it. So it may have to come out of the general fund, or, we might have to decrease the scope of projects. So as of right now, we're hopeful, but really only time will tell.
Well, I think we do have the flexibility using general fund money because, in fact, Measure E money does go into the general fund, and it's restricted only by action of the council, not by law. So there's flexibility there, though I'm sure nobody on the council wants that.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean,
There's
certainly,
politics involved.
yeah, like general fund money is not restricted, so certainly we could tap into it, but the argument would be is all general fund money is currently allocated to all these other things because the expectation was that this quarter percent would cover the debt service.
Yeah.
So, anytime you are basing a payment off of a service or, the revenue is based off of the service, well, there's potential that the revenues could increase or decrease. It's not a flat amount. It's not like the property tax, which would be a lot slower to change for revenue values and things like that. So we've got a really good handle on it and we'll keep watching it. But you're right, Larry, if hopefully we'll be well prepared, but
well, there's also very little that we can do about it because the city really doesn't have control of the pandemic any more than the state does. We do what we can do with compliance with shelter in place and masks, social distancing, but the pandemic is going to be around for a while, and the latest that I've seen is that we're talking about midsummer before vaccines get out to the general population. And then you're talking about a distribution period that will take, probably through the end of next year. So this is something we're going to have to live with.
Yes, yep. And so we're planning for it in a responsible manner for financial purposes, and we're moving forward. So, all right. And then lastly, again, just another way of viewing this, but this is the fund balance that is sitting in the Essential Facilities Fund, the 12.474 million or 12.475 million. And that's page 7 of 8. And this is how we fared budget versus actual. I don't really see much value to looking at this because there's things in here like total revenues that we never budget for because we don't know what our interest income is going to be. And so it's an additional amount. But, we had expected to have more expense hit in fiscal year 1920. So we had said 26 million almost.
1920? 1920
Yes.
or
Yeah.
2020?
Well, fiscal year 2019/2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
You
it's
said 1920.
Yeah, sorry, we call it 1920. It's 2 years spanning one another, but yeah. So we had expected slightly more expenditures because we thought we would be doing more work on 54 and 55. That's pushed into next year. So again, it's more timing, but this is how actual amounts compare to the final budget.
And in the scheme of things, the differences are relatively minor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with that, I will open it up for questions. Any additional questions?
Just on a number, I'm still stuck on numbers because that's what I get stuck on. I understand that you whomever helped you forecast in March when everything hit the fan for the rest of 2020 what the sales taxes were going to do, and then they were better than the forecast. But how far down were the actual ones so far from the prior year? Percentage, order magnitude, 30%, 2%?
They're about a little bit under 3%.
Down from 2019.
Yes. So
Wow, that's amazing. That's not very far down at all, considering.
No, it's not. But it was considering, it was the last quarter of the year. And again, the year leading up to that had done so much better than we had estimated. So, it's kind of hard to tell, but we were only a little bit less than 3% under what we had originally budgeted.
And all those people who ran out and bought cars don't have to keep doing that every year, hopefully. So that will affect.
Other people do.
Yeah. The car is in. Mass transit's out, at least for the moment.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Well, everybody's going to need to be buying an electric cars.
Yes, they do. And that's a new market. So hopefully we'll get in on that one.
Yeah.
Even the people who bought cars already are going to get electric cars.
Yeah, I would offer just a general comment, and that is that in the scheme of things and considering what the city has faced, as all cities have, particularly with COVID, which is more than just a disease, a virus. It's an economic impact that is profound, and yet Centerville has come through this. I don't want to say unscathed, but very much intact, very much on top of things. And, I just want to commend Nadine and the council for some really excellent fiscal management. And Bill, you're included in there too, because I've managed an awful lot of construction projects in my time, having built several hundred houses, and for example, never a fire station for 20 or 30 million, but I think for us to have gone through the last year and come out as well as we have isn't an accident. It's good management. It's good fiscal management. It's good management of the enterprise. And what we're focused on is the physical plant, because that's our charge. And we've got 3 new really terrific buildings that, as Gladys and Jackie will both attest, some of us started on a very long time ago, back in 2003. So anyway, that's it. I just want to kudos to you folks at the city for doing a really excellent job, especially in the management of the finances. I think it's terrific.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. It was certainly a team effort. This first hit, we were in here and, we essentially sent out an email that no non-essential spending. We froze open positions right away. My peers were amazing. They totally understood and agreed to this. Other cities may have had people who were really hitting back and saying, no, why? We don't want to do this, or unfreeze my positions now. They're more important than others. But our team did an exceptional job, and we all agreed to take furloughs. So there were many things that we did in order to make sure that we would continue to be responsible and help our finances along during this really difficult time. But
And I don't think it's over yet. We have about a year to 2 years that we need you to be just as consistent as San Rafael has been. I mean, I agree with Larry, but the tough part isn't over yet.
No, and so we'll continue to do that. I mean, we're still furloughed. We still have positions that are frozen, and we'll continue that even after, potential good news of not as much revenue losses as we originally estimated, but it could get there. And so we're being diligent, and we'll see how things go.
I think we're lucky to live in San Rafael because, at least for the last 25 years that I've been paying attention, it's definitely the best managed city in the county. And it's better managed than the county is generally.
It's been rated the best managed city of its size in the state of California.
Well, I believe that. And
well, it has been.
The culture of the city hall, obviously it encompasses all the new people and the new city council members, and it keeps rolling along. And it's just a wonderful city to get on committees and stuff, and because everybody is competent and trying to solve the problems and foresee problems in order to deal with, pushback before it happens. And I've just always been really impressed with the quality of all the management of San Rafael.
Well, please convey to the staff how much we appreciate they're taking furloughs and doing all the stuff that they're doing, because we really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. I will, certainly. Thank you. So then lastly, we've got your letter here, which is the Oversight Committee report that we normally attach. And I know that in the last 2 years that we've been doing this together, Vaughn and I have circulated this around the room, you've read it, and then signed. Certainly things are different this year. So what we didn't want to have you do is have to print this off at home, sign it and mail it to the next person. So if you are in agreement, then you can orally vote that, you accept the report that we just presented you with. And I will go ahead and send this letter to everyone via email. And if you could just respond via email as to whether or not you see any errors or don't agree with something, or you do approve it, then we'll have record of that and we can attach it. Does that make sense?
What?
That makes sense. I'd like to make a request, Jackie, since you're really good at adding to these reports and what have you, and I'm 10,000 miles away right now. If you could maybe add a little bit to this report that reflects what I was saying earlier about the city's management, I think that would be appropriate.
I would
I'd
agree with,
volunteer to do it myself, but I'm not really in a place to do it.
The fiscal management or the management of the projects, or both?
I think both.
I was gonna say both.
Yeah,
Would that
absolutely.
cause any problems if we editorialize?
No, I think it's up to us to do that.
I'm asking Nadine. Nadine, is that going to
It's
cause?
our letter, so we can editorialize.
Right. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, and so I'll go ahead and send it over to you, and then if you'd like, you can make the changes and then send it to the whole team and include Vaughn and I so that we can get their approval.
Okay.
Normally it would be signed.
Nadine, what's the date that this would go to the council?
This is going to go to council on December 21st. So
Okay, so I'll be back the 12th of December, so I'll have time to get in and sign it. So,
well, Larry, you don't have to sign it. All you have to do is reply via email that you approve the letter.
okay, but I like the idea of signing it. We all like the idea of signing it.
But I was thinking maybe we could sign, I just before this, I happened to find out how to write my signature on something. So I can write it on the email.
Well, that's another option too. You're absolutely right, Gladys. We can, you can circulate it. However you all want to do it. It's like you said, it's your report. So we just need it. Normally, everything is completed and ready for review 2 weeks before the meeting. So Monday the 7th is when we have everything in. If this is delayed slightly and we got it on the 9th, Larry, I know you're going to be back on the 12th, but
Yeah, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but that's okay.
I thought Gladys was suggesting e-signature.
yeah, I don't know if Larry has e-signature.
I don't.
E-signature you're talking about.
You mean this 92-year-old has something you guys don't have?
Oh, I can provide an electronic signature.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah.
Nadine, so you're going to send me this template to I'm just going to add like one sentence. Okay.
I'll send it to you right now, and then I'll only send it to you, and then you can circulate it within the members.
Okay.
Great.
Excellent.
And so if we can get it back by December 9th, that would be greatly appreciated.
Well,
That sounds good.
You send it to me as soon as I get it. I should be able to get it, add it today.
Okay, great. I'm doing it now. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to go over, or any additional questions that you may have? Again, I apologize, Gladys, for the delay in the financials, and I don't want to rush you. So please know you can always call my work phone or email, and we can go over any questions that you have.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right.
And thanks to everyone for zooming in on this meeting.
I hope we get through with these Zoom meetings. I'm getting a little tired of them.
They're not as fun, and we lost a member. So,
Well, listen, it's a lot better to do this by Zoom than what the county is doing, because I'm on the MIRA Oversight Committee as well, and we're doing it by telephone in spite of my argument to the contrary.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that. Yeah, and telephone doesn't do it.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah.
We're all, my battery is running low. I've plugged it in. Oh, there, it's okay. Now there it goes. Okay.
Okay,
I move, we adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank
Oh.
you.
Larry, where are you? I know you're in Mexico.
I'm in Mexico. I'm in
But where?
Huatulco, which is the southern part of the state of Oaxaca on the Pacific coast.
Oh, I figured you were on the Pacific. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, have fun. We'll see you
Thank
when you
you.
get.
yeah. Bye, everyone.
Sure, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.